Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. AI in hiring. It's a tool, not a judge. Welcome back to Hire Power. I'm Kim Frost, and today we're talking about something that has quietly and quickly become part of nearly every hiring process, whether leaders admit it or not. Okay, so it hasn't been so quiet because it is on the top of everyone's mind, but particularly people who are applying to jobs. How do we best use artificial intelligence in recruiting and hiring? Now, before you roll your eyes and think, ugh, Kim, not another AI episode, stay with me. Because this isn't your typical, oh my God, AI is amazing or AI is evil conversation. This is the real conversation. The conversation about how to use AI wisely, when to use it and when not to use it, and why the companies who think AI will solve bias are, honestly, they're the ones at most risk of creating the bias. Because here's the truth. AI doesn't replace humans. AI replaces the work that we shouldn't be wasting our time on. And that's the big difference. And we need to figure out which is which. So first off, AI isn't the enemy, but it's not the hero either. It's not the one-stop solve all everything, but it is here to stay in some form or fashion. So let's start with what everyone wants AI to do. So leaders wants AI to screen faster, identify better candidates, remove bias, create fairness, and then magically deliver the perfect hires. And listen, I get it. This is what I do. Hiring is hard, it's expensive, it's messy, it's emotional, and it takes time. So the idea that AI could bring logic and consistency, it sounds like the promised land. But here's what very few leaders realize. Fairness is not something AI automatically produces. AI doesn't create fairness. AI produces output based on whatever rules, data, incentives it was built with. And where does AI get this information? With what is out on the internet. And who puts this stuff out on the internet? You guessed it, humans. Which means bias doesn't disappear, it just gets automated. So that should stop you cold in your tracks. One data point that should make every executive pause. Nearly 90% of companies now use some form of AI in hiring. That is unbelievable. And not just in obvious ways, not just the resume scanner and the ATS systems. AI is now writing job descriptions, pushing candidates through funnels, ranking candidates, predicting success, and in some cases, running interviews and conducting interviews. If you think your company isn't using AI, it probably is. You may just not know where. And that's the real danger. Because if it's embedded in your process without visibility, then it's embedded without accountability. So, one of the reasons why we use AI is it removes bias, or we think so, but it really doesn't. That's the biggest lie in talent acquisition right now. I want that to be true. I really do. AI eliminates bias, but it's not. In fact, here I go. Harvard Business Review published research describing a 3-year global study at a consumer company where the AI system didn't broaden hiring at all. It narrowed it. And what happened?
The algorithm created a rigid definition of fairness. It decided what good looks like, and I'm air quoting there. And over time, hiring managers started losing the ability and confidence to apply their own judgment. So, guess what happened? The candidate pool got smaller, more narrow, more homogenous. And then what happens? Managers get frustrated, recruiting gets frustrated, leadership gets frustrated. And here's the part that matters most: the system didn't fail because AI was somehow broken. It works exactly how it's designed, which is why AI fairness isn't really a technical problem, it's a human system problem. AI fairness is not technical, it's political. I know, I said that word. Okay, so this is where I'm going to challenge leaders. You would think AI fairness is about code, metrics, math. But in reality, fairness is a value judgment. It depends on what your company believes fairness means. Is fairness equal outcomes, equal opportunities, equal treatment, the same process for everyone, adjusting for historical inequities? These are multiple versions of fairness, and AI can't choose which one matters because AI doesn't have values. Your company does, or at least it does. It should. And yes, that was another of my Higher Right podcasts. And this is where HBR research made one of the smartest points I've seen in this topic. Fairness isn't inherent in the code. It's negotiated by humans who design and deploy it, and that's by LinkedIn. So let me say it plainly. If humans set up a hiring process that rewards sameness, AI will optimize for sameness at scale. Scary. And that's where inequality gets amplified. So, the scariest part really in AI and hiring, bias is no longer one bad hiring manager making a biased decision. Bias now becomes a consistent system, repeated thousands of times. This is why so many researchers and legal experts warn that AI can reproduce and even amplify inequality at scale. So when companies say we use AI because it's fair, I'm going to challenge you. Fair compared to what? Fair according to who? And who defined the rules? Because if your historical hiring patterns were biased, even if it's unintentional, and let's assume it is unintentional, AI learns those patterns, and guess what they call them? Success. And then it builds your future workforce from the past. So, how do we prevent this? Let's get practical. Again, AI isn't going away, and honestly, it shouldn't. AI is incredible for sourcing speed, pipeline organization, screening support, communication workflows, reducing admin burdens. And my favorite and how I use it is AI to help educate me. But if you want AI to help you hire more fairly, you need rules. So here are the non negotiables. One, evaluate your AI hiring tools like you would evaluate a leader. Don't buy AI because it's shiny. Buy it like you're hiring a VP, meaning what assumptions does it make? What data is it trained on? How does it rank candidates? Can it explain decisions? Can humans override it? Can you audit outcomes? If it's a black box and the vendor can't tell you what inputs influence rankings, that is not innovation, that's a liability. And yes, we are starting to see lawsuits and growing regulatory scrutiny around AI hiring tools, according to Reuters. So this isn't just philosophical, it's operational. And behind all those questions that I ask, who is answering those questions? That's right. A human is answering those questions on what assumption does your tool make? What data is it trained on? That comes from human. Number two, HR and hiring managers must agree on what fair means. This is the step that most companies skip because honestly, it's tough. You got to bring everyone together for consensus, and we know how fun that is. They think fairness is an HR initiative. No, fairness is a leadership decision. If HR defines fairness one way and frontline managers define fairness another, AI will simply enforce whichever side had more influence in the configuration. Yeah, pretty amazing. So, what needs to happen? You've got to meet, you've got to make decisions, you've got to create definitions, and AI cannot do that for you. We have to align on what trait matters most, what disqualifies someone, what should never be filtered out, and what does potential look like, not just experience. Because when managers don't define success, AI will. And it will define it based on the data you feed it, which might be the last 10 years of hiring decisions that you're trying to improve. 3, use multiple versions of fairness, not just one. And this is huge. One of the big findings from a fairness research is that companies accidentally choose a single fairness metrics and then lock it in. But fairness can mean different things depending upon the role, the region, and the business reality. So instead, treat fairness again like leadership. You need to adjust it, revisit it, inspect it. What worked last year may quietly exclude great talent this year. Number 4, keep human judgment alive or you lose it. And this might be the most important part of today's episode. What is lost over time when AI becomes the decision maker? You lose local context, nuances, potential, late bloomers, unconventional backgrounds, career pivots, and underrepresented talent that doesn't match historical patterns. And you lose something else. You lose skill. The hiring manager is losing the skill to evaluate potential because judgment is a muscle. And this is the scary part. If AI is doing all your thinking, guess what happens? We stop thinking. AI should support human decision making, not replace it. Because human touch is not a fluff. AI cannot build trust, connection, belonging, candidate experience, and retention. We as humans, you as the leader, can only do that. And they don't come from algorithms, they come from leadership. AI doesn't decide what's fair, humans do. So if you remember nothing else from today, remember this: AI doesn't decide what is fair, humans decide. AI can help you apply consistency. AI can surface patterns. AI can speed up your process if done well. But what it can't decide, it cannot decide what aligns with your brand, your values, your culture, and your leadership expectation. That all has to come from you. And if it doesn't, then your culture is essentially built by software, right? And I'm just going to say it. That's not a company I'd want to work for. And that's why having someone lead your AI practice, scanning all your business lines is key. Then you have someone from each business line Be a part of the committee or team to meet regularly to review, edit, update, and roll out. AI can be great, but it's also a big lift and investment of time and money. We can't shortchange the time. We all know it's expensive. So AI in hiring, yeah, okay, it can be a superpower, but only if you treat it like what it is. It's a tool, not a judge, not the oracle, not a replacement for leadership. Use AI to eliminate the busy work. Use AI for creativity, maybe thinking out of the box. Then use humans to evaluate humans. That's how you build a strong workforce and one that's fair. If this episode sparked questions, or if you're wondering whether your hiring process is quietly narrowing your talent pool, DM me, because the best leaders don't just adopt the shiny new tool, they ask better questions. And next week, I'm going to take this AI conversation one step further. How do we learn in the era of AI? Stay tuned. Talk to you next week.
That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.